Vance Bastian here with my co-host SA Baz Collins for this week's Written on the Edge, Season 8, Episode 38, Entertainment Review. Baz and I will be giving our thoughts and reviews of Bob the Drag Queen's Woke Man in a Dress, and exploring how it relates to queer life as well as discussing its strengths and flaws. For those of you who don't know, this was filmed in my town of Madison, Wisconsin back in January, but Bob released it to his Patreon followers about middle of the year, so it's only just now hitting YouTube for general release. And unfortunately, the tagline in IMDb does not do it justice. The tagline, and I quote, follows Bob the Drag Queen as he describes his upbringing as a black LGBT person in the Deep South. Doesn't even begin to do that justice.
Girl, it was so much more than that.
So first I would like to say, sort of on the downside, Bob hit all the traditional notes. Make fun of the state that you're in by asking, what the fuck, Wisconsin? Okay, I've heard that before. Make fun of the Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z disparity. Yeah, heard that before. Make an AOL joke. Yep, heard those before. Then Bob finally got into some personal stuff, specifically the stuff about being black, but also stuff that only Bob the Drag Queen could have survived, like RuPaul's Drag Race, and and having a black mom in the South, and some of the lingo that goes with that. But also the concluding bit, which I don't want to spoil, but Bob talks about his experience at a roast with drag queens. When Bob gets into the things that only Bob could have survived, it gets epically funny. And that's when I started laughing.
Well, I liked all the previous shit. So, I'm going to be the other side of the coin and say, you know what? I don't hear all the stuff you do about Wisconsin. So when the Wisconsin shit came up, this Cali boy was living it. So
I didn't start until we got to the personal stuff about Bob. Like I said, I've heard comedians do the generational jokes. I've heard the AOL jokes. I've heard the jokes about Wisconsin. Okay, yeah, they're funny, but I didn't actually start laughing until we got to the stuff that only Bob the Drag Queen could have survived. That's when it got funny for me. Numbers?
Well, first I want to say I really liked it. I liked all of the comedy. I was laughing all the way through. I will say that I do agree with you that the personal stuff lent an air that you don't wouldn't find with someone else. I knew when his mother says, "Don't embarrass us in front of the," I knew exactly what that was. It's just there was so much that I really identified with. I mean, having grown up in the black community, because my parents were part of a huge black gospel choir, and so I
That's
was around
cool.
the black community a lot as a child. Yeah, so it's a community I'm very familiar with. I understand their struggles. I've seen it firsthand, and we grew up with black friends. It was just part of the whole thing. We just being people of color ourselves, we gravitate to other people of color. So, but anyways, I really found it very, very enjoyable. I liked the generational shit because I thought his angle was a bit more biting than I've seen other people do it. It had a queer angle that most people who do that stuff never pursue. So I see there's a difference there
Hmm.
in what you're talking about. So I understand your comment about those kinds of jokes being done, but I liked Bob's queer angle on it.
Yeah,
So that's where I found the humor, and I thought it was really funny. The only thing I will knock it for, and Bob, if you're watching, or if somebody in your crew is watching, you need to go talk to Mateo Lang, because that bitch has camera angles and filming down to a fucking science. You had quite a few issues where the focus of the camera just went bonkers, and it really was jarring. So I think one of the things that needs to happen is need to work a little bit more on the technical side of producing these things.
specifically,
Mateo really has it figured out, and that's how queer people should do their comedy
right.
scenes.
I specifically find a camera person who knows how to work in a club that used to be a Subway.
Okay, I didn't know that.
It's not, the layout of that club is not well designed for camera work. So you need to have a camera crew that understands weird ass layouts.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But still, I think that that's something that could have been taken care of
Hmm.
in like the warm up or the pre setup, where they would have walked through and gotten lighting and sound check done, and that they could have really focused on how to do certain angles and get those tied in.
Hmm.
So I just think it was something they glossed over that they shouldn't have. That was probably the most jarring thing that would happen. And it seemed a bit on the amateurish side, as opposed, it looked like somebody did it with a camera they didn't know how to operate rather than, something that would organically happen. It just felt weird. It was just odd. And it took me out of the comedy for a moment. Because I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So that's the only thing I'm going to knock it for. My number is and for going forward for stand-up comedy, when we do these things, we're not going to do the individual categories because some of them don't really apply, and so we would vote them down, and so it would bring the total down. So Vance and I have decided that if we do stand up as a review, we are just going to give our overall impression of it. So for mine is a 4.5.
Mine is a 4.75, but now that I see what you're talking about with the cameras, I would consider going lower. But yeah, 4.75. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very funny.
And her outfit was to die
It
for.
was, but you know what? That's where I felt a little
It
cheated.
worked especially when she's doing the gay boy thing of being a teenager.
It worked.
That really worked.
But when you look at the artwork for the episode before you watch it, and Bob is standing there in that gorgeous black gown, I was expecting glamour, and I didn't get. I got Midwest Funny Housewife.
Kitschy. You got kitschy.
I did very much, and it worked for the routine. But I still felt that initial, oh.
Yeah, the matchup between the marketing and what it is, didn't quite work. He should have done like a Lady Bunny kind of pop thing for it if that's what he was going, the vibe he was going for in the performance.
That would have been funny.
So, yeah.
All right, so that's our review of Bob the Drag Queen, Woke Man in a Dress. Check it out on YouTube. Give Bob your support because the man's career is going places.
And it doesn't cost you anything. It's a free special you get to watch from beginning to end, and he gets the views on it, and so he'll get the coin for it. So you're helping him out. So definitely do check it out.
And hopefully Bob's career is going places because there's scuttlebutt that Bob will be opening on Madonna's next tour. So watch for that. All right.
Okay.
All right, folks. Written on the Edges, produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen stations, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.rotepodcast.com. If you enjoy learning about new artists or hearing thoughts on entertainment media, please like and subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes. Tune in Friday for our interview. We'll see you on the show.
Bye-bye.
Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.